Welcome to SUGi Talks. At SUGi, we plant biodiverse pocket forests in urban areas and restore at-risk ecosystems around the world. Our mission is to help cities build climate resilience, biodiversity, and well-being using nature-based solutions. On this podcast, we'll speak with our expert forest makers, scientists, and collaborators about reimagining the urban experience and how we can better use nature to build healthier habitats for all life. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to support more. So in this episode, we'll meet Gaurav Gurjar. Gaurav is a jungle tree expert at A Forest and the director of the Maruvan Foundation in Rajasthan, India. As a SUGi forest maker, his work is dedicated to restoring India's lost desert forests. And with our support, Gaurav has begun the second 4,000 square metre phase of his restoration project at Maruvan. This larger forest, Sukat Aranya, will also be a space for coexistential habitats, a seed bank and a tree nursery. We spoke to Gaurav from his home, which is in the centre of this restoration project. And as a little treat, he sent us a recording from the forest. Keep in mind, this area was degraded before Gaurav came. There wasn't that much life. So have a listen. So welcome, Gaurav. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Good. Yeah, perfectly well. Doing great.
Yeah, we're super happy to have you on. The way you talk about nature is so eloquent and you have some incredible projects happening. So to kick us off, can you tell us where you are right now and what's happening there?
Yeah, so I'm right now at Maruvan and we've been working on various things here, starting from water harvesting structures to forestations and also some human habitats using natural materials, and also working on a kind of coexistential habitat between animals and humans, and we have been working on that for last 4 to 5 years.
And for a little bit of context, for people who might not be familiar with Maruvan, can you describe where it is geographically and what it's like there?
So it's in Rajasthan. It's the western part of India, and this part of India is also the Thar Desert. So it's one of the most populated deserts in the world, and it, in terms of also the biodiversity, it's the most biodiverse desert in the world. And the exact location where I am, there is a seasonal river called Luni River in this region. We are right on the banks of Luni River, and this area is completely saline. Groundwater is completely saline. There's a salt deposition that happens over this land. It has been degraded with the because of the invasion of a non-native species, Prosopis juliflora, which is a Mexican species, and also the domesticated animals which were kept in huge numbers degraded the area by grazing it like to the core, and the vegetation of this land was completely gone because this area is prone to flash floods. When the flash floods happen, there was nothing to stop the force of the debris or the flow of the water. So in last 100 years, this area has been destroyed completely to the bedrock 5 times, and the villages that were here, the vegetation, the old trees that were here, they were all completely wiped out. So people moved to higher ground. So we don't have any house in the radius of 2 to 3 kilometers. It's just us and there are farmlands, and we are sandwiched between a river and its tributary. So that's how our landscape appears.
Yeah, and it's transformed so much since then. It's incredible. Can you talk to us a little bit about the SUGi Pocket Forest and how that fits into the whole restoration project? And how's it going?
So this new forest that we are building, it's the biggest one that we'll be doing here as well. In terms of like it may sound weird, like we've been observing ants, we've been observing tiny bees, how the deers behave when you have eye contact with them, how the blue bulls behave, how the birds interact, how close they do they come here. So I'll give you an example. Like whenever we are having a breakfast in our space, like where I'm right now, because house sparrows live with us. There are bulbuls that come to our balcony, that comes to our big hall and live with us. So whenever we are having a breakfast in the morning, there would be 8 to 10 birds that are sitting right next to me, 4 to 5 feet away from me. So with something, whatever I'm like, I have only one same kind of breakfast every day. So whatever I'm eating, so I'll be sharing some to the birds. On the other side, there will be a wild cat that lives with us, so I'll be giving that to a cat. Outside, if I go, as soon as I go in the balcony in the morning, there will be two crows that have been coming to me for last 2 years. They demand their share of food. There are bulbuls, there are brahmanis, there are different kinds of birds. So it's a whole habitat that I've been interacting with and living with. So that habitat will be expanding. So how do we design that habitat where each and every species feels safe, as well as that interaction is a healthy interaction with the humans? So that we'll be able to create with this new forest that we'll be creating, and that will be in a bigger piece of land. So it will be a whole big unit that will be acting as a single organism. So yeah, we are very excited.
So, how do you begin to design a forest? Is there any particular step that you think is key to success?
Observation is the key. Observations just means I would just go under a tree and sit under it and just see around what is happening around me. Be aware of even an ant is passing next to me, or if an ant or a small lizard is climbing upon me, I would be aware of that and see how it interacts, how these things happen. And I think if I'm being very receptive to the frequencies around me, the answers, the solutions, the designs, all of these things will be revealed to me automatically. It will just come to me. So I think that's the best way, best approach of creating these spaces.
What were some of the challenges you had to overcome when working on the land? There were some extreme conditions there, like intense heat and drought. So, what kind of research did you have to do, and how did you harness the elements?
We started with the surveying of the landscape, like whatever. We started with the history of the landscape, what was existing here. We went to nearby old temples, some 100-year, 200, 300-year old temples, old wells, old like ponds, water harvesting structures that were there for 300, 400 years old. So we started surveying them and started noting down the vegetation that was existing there. And the major challenge on our landscape was the water. So we started with the water. We designed our systems in a way that we would catch the run of water and we would let water submerge in, and then we would harvest that water right from the subsoil. So we created these shallow wells. So figuring out these things was the major challenge, how it will be done. So we had to create 4 open wells and to spend hours sitting on the ground. I would sit in the extreme sun, 48 degrees Celsius, under a tree which wouldn't cast a shade, and just observe ants, just observe different tiny creatures which were moving on the land, how they would find the shade, how the moisture is preserved, how the temperature is lowered down. So all these things, tiny little observations were made, and we found out there were 2 tree bands going across our land. And then it just came to us that if these trees are functioning only in particular, growing much healthy, particularly in these bands, there must be something under the ground. So then we started observing these trees. So what is the quality of the fruit, what is the quality of the seed, how thick is the bark fissure, how animals are attracted for the fruits of these particular trees compared to the trees which are outside these tree bands. So these were the several observations we started making, and then we figured out, if we create water harvesting structures, if these fall in these tree bands, they will be definitely successful. And once we crack that, this right now, the well that we are creating is the third one, and it's a jackpot, the third one. So it's a third jackpot. So everywhere right now, wherever we are digging, because we know the science, or because we know the observations, we are digging at that special points, and we are cracking that jackpots to have that water available for us. So the water is not in that great quantities that you could do farming, but it's good enough, it's sufficient enough to water the forest. And it's the only pond that has sweet water in 2 to 3 kilometers radius. So all of the animals, the foxes, deers, blue bulls, the rabbits, all these are attracted to our pond, and they are flocking in huge numbers.
And were there any other crucial steps involved?
Yes. We just removed the Prosopis juliflora, which is the invasive species of this area. And we did not plant anything. There was one particular grass species, locally we call it dabda, that came back on its own. We did not do anything. We just removed the non-native species, and that grass was all over. It returned all over. And with that grass, weaver birds started to come back, because weaver birds use that particular grass to weave their nest on thorny trees. So it's not the big changes or the big things that you have to do on the landscape. It's just the very tiny bit of right things that you need to do, and then the nature will take over, and it will respond beautifully, and exponential changes can be observed.
Yeah, it must have been quite magical to see all that happen from such minor adjustments. And in essence, it's just about creating the right environment for life to return to what it was.
Exactly. So right now in that first forest patch, we have peacocks living by. We have like last year, wild boar gave 9 babies in that forest patch. We have like 3 to 4 feet tall monitor lizards inhabiting that land. And it's not a big forest that I'm talking about. It's a very tiny patch. The countless birds that are coming, that are feeding on the fruit, and they are going all around the landscape and sitting over a tree and eating that fruit and dropping that seed. So right now, whatever those standalone trees were there all over the site, they are being sprouted under them. These seedlings that we planted in our forest are being sprouted because the birds are spreading the forest more than us. Just by existing or just by living, these creatures, birds, and they just expand the natural beauty everywhere. So yeah, that's a very interesting thing. These are very interesting things to observe and see. Okay, we are doing so much effort bringing so many resources and all of it, and they are just existing. They're just eating fruit and going and doing the droppings, and they're creating forest.
The unsung heroes of the forest. It certainly sounds beautiful. The recording you sent is so alive and so loud.
So one of that was right next to our pond, where a lot of frogs are there. So like you just go sit there, and it's like very meditative, like the constant music is going on with the birds and crows wherever you sit in on our landscape. And in certain seasons, there's a there are scenes in a way that if you are standing under particular trees, you won't be able to talk to each other, because the bird sound is so loud that you can't hear a person next who's standing next to you and talking. So it's that kind of change that we have seen here.
A noisy change, but we love to hear it. It's a very healthy noise. There was once a phrase you said a while ago that I think about a lot. You said abundance is the byproduct of coexistence. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and I think this line itself also came to me in a way that when we were working here, we were seeing, so because it's not a very farming land, not good rains happens in this region. So only farming also happens whenever there are good rain seasons, and there are mostly the failure of crops that happens in this region. So, but people are surviving here for millions of years, so lakhs of years. So this history has this entire region where I am has the history which dates back to one of the oldest civilizations of the world. So we have these kinds of Indus Valley civilization remnants that are found in this area. So people have been living here for thousands of years, and they have been inhabiting this land for, even if they are not able to grow food. So how did they do it? What is the code that they cracked? And then I realized that most of the food and that actually happened during the COVID period. So I was hearing news that the food shelves have gone empty. People are lining up in the line to collect the rations, to the food and everything in the cities, and we were here and we were enjoying the, and we were already living here since 2018, so it was already for us like that we were in lockdown, or so before the lockdown and all these things happened. But then I realized कि even if some calamity or these kinds of things happen, people in city would go hungry because they wouldn't have any food left with them, uh, and they would have to line up. But here, though there is a scarcity of water, though there is a scarcity of food, but the houses of people are stacked up with the food. So even if some calamity or natural disaster happens, and all the food chains, all these things, supply chains collapses, people in metro cities would just die off within a month. But these people have already stocked up their houses with 2 years of ration, and they can still survive. So where is all that food coming from? So then I realized, because these people are my ancestors, have faced so much scarcity, they know the value of conserving water, they know the precise way of having, how to harvest water, how to preserve food, how to have developed these skills of having these food storations. And because there's no farming happening, all of the food is coming just from preserving of the landscape. So whatever landscapes or whatever vegetation, perennial vegetations, the khejdi, the care, the kumad, the grasses, all these things that I am talking about, these are not farming things. These are just the natural forests of this landscape, and they just grow like that. They don't need any maintenance. It's just the protection of the habitat that is required. So my people, my ancestors have spent thousands of years mastering the technique of protecting the landscape, protecting the vegetation, protecting the ecosystem here. And in return, this ecosystem will bestow abundance on them. It would give everything from water to food to fresh air to medicines to every damn thing one could imagine as a luxury in the world. So all of these things were coming in abundance just by the protection of the habitat. Not much effort is being made in terms of doing the farming or tilling the land or like destroying the habitat. Just, if you just let the deers live, if you just let the blue bulls live, if you just let all the birds live and all the species of plants that they are dependent on, and so if all these species, birds, animals, mammals, humans, are coexisting in this landscape, there will be abundance. So that's how it came. The abundance is actually the byproduct of coexistence of all these species. So if we are able to achieve coexistence here, nature will give abundance for all.
This is a question that we ask everyone, and it's always very interesting because people approach it so differently. So, what is one thing nature has taught you?
Yeah, I think like that's a long list. I can't pinpoint something that nature has taught us, because I am myself a nature. Like I can't, because that would require me to separate myself from nature and then look at it. uh, but it's just the, I'm just the part of nature. So it's like whatever is happening, I'm part of that loop. So it's not, I couldn't separate myself to look at in a way that okay, this is the thing I have learned from nature. So it's the loop, it's the same. I'm when like it's like separating this hand and asking this hand what I've learned from this body. So it's a whole coexistence, or uh, the wholesomeness of existence. Like everything is connected to everything. Like even a small ripple, even a small change, it's like if I move my hand like this, there is a change that is happening around the world. And so that is just the realization that happens with nature, rather than more like, I would rather call it a realization that I am the part of nature, that little fluke of existence that I will be, instead of calling it that I would learn something from nature.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to add or anything that you think people might want to know?
Yeah, not really, but yeah, just the observations, like what all, like to the audience who will be listening to this, and a lot of questions come to me, uh, like how did you learn all of this, or what are the books that you need to read, or where you should be looking, or what are the courses that you need to do, or even the training that we are providing. So it's not about all these things. It's like, if you could just go in the nature and sit wherever you are supposed to create these habitats, like be it your house or a forest that you are creating, just go there, sit there in calmness, and just be receptive. You'll be able to hear the sound, what trees are telling you, what how the water is flowing under the ground, how the birds are interacting with you. All these answers will be just revealed to you just by being in that space with that calmness. So observation is definitely the key. Reading the landscape is definitely the key. And whatever kind of forest is existing, you don't need to be a big expert, or some scientific knowledge, or read a lot of books to do that. It's very common sense. It's, if you just remove all that cumbersome information or overload of information, the actual thing will be revealed to you, like what you need to do on that particular landscape. You don't need to read big books. You just need to be with trees, with birds, with these ants and insects and bees, and they are the greatest teachers. And they will, if you are receptive, they will talk to you, they will answer all your questions.
Is this deep sense of observation something you carry into other areas of your life?
Yes, yeah, like almost all. So I can't separate create forest creation or habitat creation from the life that I am living, because I'm living on the site, I'm living on the forest right now. Like just before this interview, I was sitting under a tree collecting seeds from the bird droppings. So whatever birds have eaten the fruits and they have done the droppings, I marked that tree. Okay, I know this tree is particular one which tree birds love. And so I, for an hour, I was sitting there and I was just collecting seeds one by one. So I might have just picked up not more than 50 seeds in an hour, but at 1 hour, and those 50 seeds are like something, are one of my biggest possessions, or my precious, like no gemstones or gold or any amount of money could like compensate for that. So yeah, so these kinds of things are part of my life. That's what my life is about.
Lots and lots of deep observations. I think there's a lot of life lessons to be taken from this conversation. I loved what you said about not needing to make radical changes or do extensive work in order to make a difference. But sometimes it's just about observing the world around you in order to understand. And it can often be the minor adjustments, the little tweaks here and there that make the most impactful change.
Yes. You just need to observe nature, and like whatever is happening in nature and how it is happening in your area, you could just mimic that. And that is the greatest common sense. Like I've also done permaculture course with Geoff Lawton, and the what Bill Mollison or the permaculture designer's manual talks about is the key observation and the reading of the landscape. So if you are able to read those landscape, if you are able to talk with nature, uh, you would be able to do that. And in, like, even in ancient literature, the literature that exists in Sanskrit in India, there was a particular science called Shakun Vidya. That particular science dealt with how to interact with birds, how to interact with trees. Like one could literally, our ancient rishis, or like our ancient scientists, which we yogis and all of those, they were able to directly talk with the trees, and they were able to interact. Like trees would talk to them, the crows would talk to them. And as I do more observations, as I said, now I realize it's not just some random stories. There's a deep, very deep significance, or there's a very deep reasoning behind those stories. These are not just myths. These are the actual things that people were so receptive, people were so calmed down and so in tune with nature, that they, just like we are talking in a language here, they could directly talk with trees and other animals and ants, and the answers would be revealed to them. That's how the whole Ayurveda text was written, and just by observing nature and what tree would be given. That's what Native Americans talk about, the like the in the Amazon forest that they live. They talk about the very same thing. The trees would tell them in what disease, what species should be eaten, and to have a cure. So yeah, these are the things that you like. It would just come if you are receptive, and if you have just follow your common sense.
So thank you so much, Gaurav. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
If you like this episode of SUGi Talks, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to support more. Next time on SUGi Talks, we'll meet Dr. Gray Coupland, our lead scientist. We'll be talking about the hard science and data behind our forests. So don't miss that one.